Okay, hello everybody. This is Sykes 3280 Neuroscience of Consciousness week 5, and this week we are going to talk about eyes, IRE visual system, and its relation to consciousness. All right, so let's first start from the recap of the week 4. So this is the three key figures from the Stan Dehaene study in the 2001 in Nature Neuroscience. And the first, what we discussed was non-conscious processing and the sandwich masking. The word sandwich masking refers to the fact that this particular type of the visual masking they made was composed of both forward masking, that mask starts before the target, and then the backward masking. And backward masking is usually much more stronger, but in their case, they combine both feed forward and backward masking to get the maximum effect. And in particular, so this is going to be as a direction of the time it's going forward like this way. This or that is considered as a forward masking, and then this two that follows the target is the backward masking. And under this condition, what they found was that the behavior first validated the conscious visibility. Under the visible condition, they found that the subjects were able to report spontaneously and also name the word, and also they were able to remember afterwards and so on. And then the invisibility of the masked stimulus, so they could not spontaneously report and could not name and could not remember things. And the blank or distractors that serves as a false alarm rate estimator is not different from this masked situation. And finally, the fourth choice paradigm to say, let's say, after seeing this, after showing note, you ask subject to choose whether note or lion was present, and they were at chance. So this is a very strong, stringent criterion of the behavior invisibility. Okay, and then further on, they also established the neuronal and the behavior evidence of non-conscious visual processing. So here, neuronal evidence corresponds to this, activation of the fusiform or word form areas, which coincides with the visible world activation here, the green. But a visible world activates both parietal and also frontal areas, which we'll talk about most likely next week. And that's a much more extended and stronger activation. And then the behavior evidence-wise, I showed the repetition priming effect. And under this kind of situation of impossible to discriminate, people still show the reaction time advantage for the repeated words. That indicates that there is some kind of processing going on. All right. And then next, at the next part, I also talked about the eyes and also its structure with relation to the retinal ganglion cells, cones, which is responsible for our color vision, and the rods that is responsible for our night vision and blind spot. And in particular, I talked about the blind sight behaviors in monkeys, and also which allows us to go into the more refined understanding of what neural mechanisms are underlying the blind sight behavior in monkeys. They deny seeing, but they can localize by detection task and also eye movements. And then I also introduced the metacognitive accuracy as a way to discriminate conscious from non-conscious processing. The idea is to consider hit and correct rejection trial in a signal detection task as a target present for the subject, and then miss and false alarm as incorrect trials for the subject. And then the subject's task is to discriminate this, correct from incorrect trials. And if you know when you are correct, And if you know when you're incorrect, then this metacognitive accuracy measure that considers high confidence followed by the correct rejection and the hit as hit, second order hit, or meta level hit, and also a false alarm and a miss, which is a mistake, followed by low confidence as again, correct rejection, and false alarm and miss is also defined in a corresponding second order way. We can define and quantify how accurately people know about their own decision. And it's shown that in the blindsided subject, when subject claims that they cannot make an cannot see it consciously, then even though they have a strong motivation to earn more money, they can't utilize that information. And that is a very compelling evidence to show that subjects are in fact able to still behaviorally objectively demonstrate the information processing that is not available for conscious awareness. So metacognitive accuracy is a way to discriminate conscious from non-conscious processing. Okay, and then the structure of the eye led to our discussion towards the end that do we see color outside of fovea? Just quickly reviewing. So here is an eccentricity 0 degree that is a fovea here, and then you are seeing something here, direct fixation. And then as you see the cone density, okay, it's a density, which is important, declines sharply, and then it's still above 0, but goes quite sharply declining. And under this situation, like 20 degree from the fovea, are we actually seeing the color? That's the question. And we are going to start there for this lecture. All right. So in week 5, we will explain the properties of visual cortex, in particular primary visual cortex, or V1, and then discuss the implication for our color vision or any other vision actually at the periphery. And also explain the neural mechanism of the blind side. We don't know fully understand, we don't still fully understand blind side, but to our best knowledge, I'll try to give an explanation. And while going through the early visual systems and alternative pathways, and then there we encounter a couple of important questions as well as some concepts that will be followed up in the following weeks, starting from here. Okay, so the learning objectives of this week is as follows. First, we are going to ask again, what is our peripheral experience? Okay, what do we actually see in the outside of fovea? And for that, we are going to do a closer look with the color and the motion, and also using some kind of informal metacognitive measure to see what we are actually experiencing in the periphery. Okay, that's the first. And second, we are going to look at what neural mechanisms underlie the transmission of visual inputs from the eyes to the brain. This is partly reviews back last week. And then what is a receptive field of a neuron? This is a very important concept. And then what are the key properties of the V1? That is primary visual cortex. Basically, it's a columnar organization and layer structure. And then what are the implications of these properties for V1 for conscious phenomenology? And also another property of the V1 is this cortical magnification and the retinopathy. And that leads to the hard problem of consciousness quickly. And then what are the visual pathways from the eyes to the brain and its implication for the blind side? I'll just give you a quick answer that there are multiple pathways, and some of them are most likely underlying blind side. And for this week, the amount of the chapter that is covered is relatively huge, but part of the last part of the chapter 3 and the 4 is going to the main parts. And then chapter 8 is also implied. And chapter 5 to 7, I also uploaded, but you don't need to read. It's an optional reading. For those people who want to go the chapter from 1 to 8, you can read it through, okay? So let's recap the demonstration in week 4. If you haven't done this demonstration by yourself, please do it right now by stopping the video and then examine your experience. Okay. So first thing you need to do is to put your hand extended like this, and then adjust the distance from your display so that your thumbnail roughly coincide with the thumbnail that you're seeing on this display. Okay. So now you're supposed to put your finger thumbnail around this figure center and then examine what your peripheral experience is like. And for me, I can kind of see there are lots of colors, especially the bright ones, the yellow, but also I can see lots of missing hole-like thing. Maybe it's related to the background light conditions in the room. But also I can't really see which color I'm seeing at which location. I have a vague impression of there are colors, but not really clear. Probably, if I'm asked, I may not be able to tell which color I'm seeing at which point. Okay, and then now if you do the same thing, but locating the finger to the bottom and then see this figure. And if you're like me, I would say that I can actually comfortably see all of the colors, and I can also indicate the location of the color quite confidently in both left eye and the right eyes actually. Okay, but if you haven't completed, please participate in the survey for week 4, and then we will collect that information and then discuss in the later weeks. Okay. So this week I'll add a little bit more of this metacognition of your peripheral experience. So, what I bring is this trump card, as in this thing, and so if you have one of these trump card, then please prepare right now. Okay, this is important to do it by yourself. Okay, so here is the direction. One is the preparing a set of the playing card suit, and then pick a card with the back side facing to you. So I'll do something like this, and then move the card to the place where you think you can identify the identity of the card, like both color and also the number of the card. Okay, so if I were to do that, then maybe I'll do. Now I can actually see the card identity, so it doesn't work. But I'll just hide it, like this way. So now it's both sides are back, so that I cannot cheat. Okay. Both sides are back and I cannot cheat. And then I put it in front of me. And then I move it slowly to the side and then stop it when I feel like I cannot see the color and identity of the card anymore. And then at that location, I continue to see my finger in front, and then I flip the card, and then I say it's probably like red 6, probably heart. And then the answer is, oh, so this is 6, but it was not red and it was clover. But it's kind of, that this is a kind of the experiment that you want to do by yourself. Okay, please do it right now if you can, if you have a trump card. All right. So okay, so this is the first experiment of the your phenomenology, and then here we have this randomness component that if you shuffle the card enough, then you can make it random, and then you can compute the number of the times that you're correct and incorrect with your confidence rating and so on. So I was correct in terms of 6, but wrong in color and shape. And if you repeat this together with the confidence rating, we can, in principle, measure the objective performance and also metacognitive accuracy of our peripheral performance. Now, let's try it by yourself and then answer the Moodle question for metacognition on your peripheral vision. If you have observed something, then please also say that in the forum. Okay. And here is one schematic proposed by the Cohen, 2016, and there they are claiming that consciousness is sparser than we think. So here's the one schematic that was proposed by Cohen and so on in 2016, saying that consciousness is sparser than we think, and they claim that we still see far less than we think we do. And here's the demonstration. So where the card has to be actually be for participants to identify it, and then they say that where participants predict the card will be when they can identify it. But I'm not so sure about this. I'll see what you guys get. In my own experience, I tend to be more or less, in a sense, metacognitively accurate in that I put my card over there so that I was able to actually identify number 6, right? And also, but the color and also shape-wise, it wasn't correct. But I didn't actually force myself to put the card into the location where I can, identify the card color or card shape and so on. So, we can do all these things empirically. This depiction to me feels a bit of the over exaggeration, but we'll see what you feel. Okay. And then let's go to the next one, which is the peripheral experience of the color versus motion. Okay, and this relates to also what we learned this week. Here, again, you put your finger over there, and then you do the same thing, but then the relaxer condition. Okay, estimate whether you can see the color of the card. Okay, so basically you move the color card until you feel like you can see the color. Then flip the card, and then locate the card where you cannot see the color of the card, and then move yourself, or better if you ask people to move it. Can you see its motion? That's the so the dissociation of the color versus motion in our visual field. So how it looks like. So you again put your card and then move it until you don't see the color of the things, and then here is more or less like I don't really see the color of the stimulus very well. But if I juggle it, or better, if somebody else does it, then what you will notice is that the point where you don't see the color of the stimulus very well, but you see the motion of the stimulus very clearly. And that to some people is going to be a bit surprising. You can see some property of the stimulus, but not others. Okay. And then another kind of the demonstration would be like ask another person to move the card from very periphery, and then say stop when you start to see the motion of the card. And then after that, you can see whether you can identify the color and number of the card there. So this is basically the same thing to dissociate the viewer sensitivity to the motion versus color. And then after you try it out, and then you can also again, come to the forum or answer to the survey. Okay. So here's again the Cohen schematic. Stop. I see the motion over there. Say stop. You see the motion. And then what color is the moving object? If another person asks, then no idea. Red, blue, or wow, that's surprising. But I'm not so sure whether people are really bad at this type of experience. At least in my experience, many people spontaneously tend to say that they can locate and detect the motion in the periphery, or let's say like an insect, without knowing what it is. And then to know what it is, they make an eye movement or head motion to look at that. And so if that is correct, then basically people know that we know something is moving without what it is. And if this is the case, then their claim that people don't see things than they think they do. Okay, so that the dissociation between the metacognition and the color and the motion, this is posed as a sort of a demonstration here, but I'm not sure whether anybody has actually quantified it or empirically tested it in a large scale. So it's one of these issues that are open now as a consciousness science. You are now entering into the, as you see, this paper was published in 2016, and Cohen is the author of some of the papers that you presented in a journal club, and this is still like much debated kind of topic. We are consciousness researchers have been coming up with various different kind of measurements and the stimulus, and then also in this case the virtual reality or widescreen vision, which was not available before, and then to test these things in a more controlled manner with controlling different kind of situations such as expectation, instruction, and attention, which we will go into the detail next week. So this is one of the topics that you can also propose for the final project. We are, coming to the border of the knowledge. Okay. So just to reiterate, that to me it's quite, clear that the color perception in the periphery is real. But one of the most, influential philosopher called Daniel Dennett, said something like the following in the Mindscape interview hosted by Sean Carroll. Let's hear what he says.
If I try to abandon that intuition, I don't know what to trust.
Yeah. Well, it calls up the reliability or the usefulness of introspection generally, right? I mean, introspection is where we get a lot of these ideas of our experiences. Should we be generally skeptical of introspection? We learn something from it, certainly.
We learn something from it, but yes, we should be skeptical. First of all, let's start small and build up. I love to point out to my students and others all the ways in which their consciousness isn't the way they think it is. For instance, it seems that our color vision goes way out to the edge of our vision. It doesn't. It seems that we have high resolution vision out to the side. We don't. I love to point out that lots of things that are surprising, I can demonstrate to them. I think, whoa, who knew that? Well, you didn't, did you? So forget about the so-called incorrigibility of first-person acquaintance. That's just a mistake. That doesn't mean that we're not reliable informants to ourselves and others about many features. But forget about this Cartesian idea that on the inside, we are the masters of what's going on.
So you're saying that even when we experience the outside world, there's a lot of stitching in.
Okay, so that's probably enough for our purpose. But if you're interested in hearing the Daniel Dennett's, talk and conversation with Sean Carroll, a physicist, I recommend you to go to, subscribe their podcast or YouTube here. So what Dennett was saying is he's so-called illusionist by the category of consciousness, researcher within the philosophy. So he basically thinks that all the conscious experience is illusion, whatever illusion means. Illusion itself is experienced. I don't really understand what they want to say actually, but anyway, he pointed out that we should be skeptical about our introspection, which is totally fine. I'm also I have no problem with this. And then he goes on to say that we think the color extends to the peripheral vision, and he quickly dismisses it doesn't. And then we feel like the resolution of the experience is as high to as to the periphery, and we don't. But it isn't. That's what he said. I don't know really what he means by this. First of all, color is likely to be experienced, and it is experienced for many measures in the periphery, first thing. And another one is that we do not most likely consider the peripheral vision to be as accurate and as high resolution as a fovea. Most people try to look at what's there in closer look by moving eyes or heads. That means that they know that it's not really clearly seen over there. So he said something like this over and over again, and doesn't change his attitude over the 30 years or 40 years. So I don't know what to do, but this is again the reason of why I'm kind of bringing this issue to the front and then discuss about this. It is again one of the most controversial kind of things in philosophy or cognitive science. And for those people who know the vision science better, I think their attitude is much less radical than this. But let's see how it goes. Okay, so in summary, I just wanted to discuss, and this part is in a sense a bit more philosophical or phenomenological than other parts of the lecture today. Experience in the periphery is at least I would say controversial. And please answer the question for the metacognition on your peripheral vision in the Moodle. I'll see what you think. Okay. So the next video is about role of eye movements in conscious vision.